Immersion is the key to replay value in Ghost Recon Wildlands, and so here's 8 ways you can make the game more entertaining even after hundreds of hours of playtime. What's up guys, Darkdally here playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I want to show you 8 cool tricks I've used to enjoy the game as much as ever 8 months after its release. Sure, there's PvP and DLC, and there's always fun ways to play in co-op, but what about breathing some new life back into the single-player campaign? After grinding all the way through tier mode, I found myself yearning again for the early days in the game when it was just simple fun and I didn't have to worry about getting aimbotted by an unmarked enemy from the other side of a destroyed vehicle. I wanted to start over and experience it all again, but I wanted it more immersive and something just kind of fun and different from grinding through mindlessly, and I still had 2 slots to make more characters, so why not? It's pretty common to turn off the user interface, or parts of it, for an immersive and more milsim kind of feeling. And yeah, this is a great idea. Even just playing without the detection clouds, or on a higher difficulty, or turning off your map, or other HUD options to your liking is cool, but here's the 8 top tricks I came up with to make it more fun, and I think of these as rules, and I found it really fun to play with these self-imposed restrictions. So let's start with number 8. You get 6 slots to store special outfits, so I figure why not make the most of it and tailor my camo for the different types of terrain I may encounter in the various AOs. You don't have to blend in if you don't want to, maybe make a Unidad themed set, or gear that matches some other theme like I did with the custom character builds that you've seen me do. Or small details like maybe having a warmer looking outfit for areas in the high mountains like Pucara, Inca Camina, and Montioc. You could also make a set of gear to wear at night, maybe make it darker, maybe with the advanced ballistics helmet with the night vision goggles, or even a black ghillie suit. Personally, I do like to blend in and often wear ghillie suits. You can make each outfit slot a camo type for each type of terrain. Maybe one for forest, jungle, grassy areas, snow, one for arid, mountainous regions, and then one for desert. There's so many possibilities here and so much fun to be had if you decide to match your gear to your environment. I can make a whole series of videos on it, and maybe I will. But next up we have, okay, this one some of you may not get, but that's okay, because these only get better as we go down the list. But yes, simply having the music, radio, and voices on can make a big difference. Of course, these are all on by default, but maybe you turned off the voice because it's annoying getting interrupted by NPCs when you're in co-op, or like me, if you make videos and the talking and the music get in the way. I always make sure to have the radio turned off to prevent possible copyright issues with my videos, and every time I make a video, someone ends up talking over me, so I've had these options turned off for so long that I forgot how immersive all these simple options can be when you just tune everything out and put yourself there in the game. Plus, the voice acting in Wildlands really isn't that bad at all. Out of the box, the game allows you to change any aspect of your loadout at any time, even mid-combat. That, to me, just felt off from the start. This is definitely one of the rules I imposed upon myself for a more immersive playthrough experience. One of my favorite aspects of military games like this is choosing my loadout for the mission ahead, using my limited slots to fit in the things I think I may need given possible scenarios within one operation. But of course, this is an open world game, not one restricted to single mission deployments. Hey, that's cool, but I like choosing my kit for the situation, and I like working around it when the situation changes and I have to make do with something maybe less than ideal if something unplanned happens. Like if I decide to take an LMG in place of a sniper rifle, but then find myself needing one and then I have to work around it because I can't change my loadout, you know? Make the decision that you're only allowed to change your loadout at certain places. Maybe you decide that you may only equip different gear from the rebel bases, or when added an ammo cache and not in combat. Personally, what I do is I allow myself to change my loadout at rebel rally points or in cars, so long as we're parked in a safe spot. I figure that any car we're in will be carrying our gear and would be an appropriate place to re-equip for a new objective. Since the game is open with no real RTB kind of stopping points along the way, and that leads right into the next tip. Decide not to call in vehicle deliveries. Live off the land, so to speak, and choose to get around solely by those vehicles that you find, commandeer, or otherwise liberate from the Bolivian locals. I try to take it another step further and use what I feel would be my character's judgment as for what to drive. Maybe we got all shot up taking a convoy and I feel I'd want something a little more incognito. So we ditch the truck in the jungle and find a low-profile minivan or something to continue on so as not to draw suspicion. Choose not to fast travel. Ooh, maybe that's a tough one for you. Really though, this is a big one. Dedicate yourself to the decision to not use fast travel. It's fun, guys. There's a lot to see along the way, and any number of things can happen. I'm not saying you have to follow the speed limit or anything like that. And yeah, I know there will be times when you're looking at a 15 or 20 click drive to your destination, but relax and roll with it. Or maybe the length of your drive may motivate you to infiltrate that nearby outpost right over there and try to take that SB chopper. Bam, freeform quest right there, and now you get to where you're going faster and have fun along the way. The more decisions you have to make for your character, as your character, the more immersive the play will be. I also try to wait for my team to get into the vehicle with me as well, as just driving off and having them teleport into the vehicle feels a little bit off. But sometimes this just isn't doable due to pathing or AI issues, but I try to, you know. This is one of my personal favorites, and the one that I enjoy adhering to as strictly as possible: weapon sighting and wear and tear. Here's what I mean by that. Anytime you switch to a new weapon, and no, I don't mean swapping out your AR for an SMG for a mission, but rather I mean anytime you decide to change your choice of ARs or pistols or whatever it may be, renew the paint on it. Make it all fresh and shiny, and as you use it, it begins to look more worn, and it gives that feeling that you and the rifle have been through some stuff together, right? You know what I mean? I do often change my weapon camo when switching to different environments, but I don't renew the paint when I do, because if I did that, weapons would likely never show wear. I just do it when I'm like, okay, the AK-12 was fun, but now let's try out my shiny new TAR-21 or something, you know? And then it wears as I use it, and I grow attached to it. I really kind of do. I'll pay attention to how it handles and what situations it's good for, and maybe take it to the range and familiarize myself with its accuracy attributes and pick some good optics for it. The game's built-in wear and tear system on rifles really can, help you feel like you and your weapon have been through something together, and so I say use it. Speaking of weapons, this one is great. Don't look up which weapon you want is where, or where to find that upgrade you want, but rather just go out there and find them naturally. Sure, pick up the intel and locate where the weapons and their respective attachments are on the map. I don't personally find that immersion breaking, but what I'm suggesting is that you don't look at what they are until you get them. Even after some 450 hours of gameplay, I don't remember where they all are, and so it's still a surprise every time. Let's say you spot an attachment at a nearby outpost, and you're hoping it'll be something useful. Pull up your TAC map, but don't highlight it obviously because it'll tell you what it is in the tooltip. Instead, just zoom in, place a marker near it, clear the base, and then when you get to open the case, it's like opening a present on Christmas Day. What's in the box? You're right. Maybe it's a rail attachment for your favorite AR, or maybe it's just a compensator for an LMG that you never use, but it's fun. It's ultra rewarding when you open that mystery box and there's a large magazine for the rifle that you just happen to be using and you had no idea it was there. This is one of my favorite ways to play the game, and it encourages you, like scrounging for vehicles, to explore more places than you may normally go, and it pays off. Or of course, you can just turn the intel off completely, turn all that stuff off, and just stumble upon them. You can go through the entire game without ever using a pistol. Most people I know hardly ever use them. Pistols have great utility though. First, it's a great alternative for saving ammo on your primary weapon if you've decided not to use the ammo boxes that are everywhere, but mostly it's their small radius of sound detection. When you're infiltrating a base, especially one you haven't fully reconned, and this will lead into number one, we'll get there in a minute, a pistol or a melee takedown is great for when you have an enemy in the next room, or if you think there might be one in the next room, depending on your HUD settings, because you can take down someone with a pistol and the guy in the next room may not even hear you. Now, one fun loadout option is to equip your AR or SMG with a compensator. Now, this locks you out of the suppressor option, so you can't just throw a suppressor on and then infiltrate a base. This makes you fully rely on your pistol and sniper rifle, if you're using one, for quiet kills. And this is really fun. And then, if it hits the fan, you do still have that AR or SMG. One truly awesome thing about this game that I think many people fail to experience as much as they should is the unsuppressed sound of the weapons. All of the assault rifles have their own unique report when you fire them, and it really gives combat a more real feeling experience. And don't say you can't because of the difficulty. You can infiltrate whole entire bases, even in tier mode, with just a pistol and your fists. You can fire an assault rifle unsuppressed without being noticed if you watch your surroundings or stay on the move. I really encourage you to switch to that pistol for tight building interiors when you're unnoticed and get that full-on James Bond vibe going. That said, if you've been noticed, a pistol will likely only cause more grief than it's worth because of the number of shots some alerted enemies can take before going down. But try it. It seems 90% of the people I ask say they use the 5.7, and that's fine. But I know they're just using it because it does the most damage. And hey, that's fine too. But have you tried close stealth combat with the others to get a feel for them? You may find yourself growing attached to your P12 or your 1911 because of some cool experience you had taking an entire base of Unidad like your frickin' 007. And if you get good at it, and comfortably run your AR or SMG unsuppressed, It's incredible. It really does put things into perspective as far as weapon rolls when you decide to give your pistol a real spot in your loadout. This one is fun and my favorite for a careful and tactful playthrough. Make a rule not to use your drone unless you have to for, like certain mission objectives. Sure, drones do exist in real life, and I don't find the use of a drone immersion breaking. But the fact I can float it about 20 meters in the air and push a button to locate every enemy within a base, that I do find too easy. Decide not to use the drone or rebel spotting and go off visual recon only. Really recon that base. Get a good vantage, scout it from other angles, use your binoculars and sniper scope, and personally find that good point of entry and, where all the enemies are at. Playing with this rule, I generally enter any given base with probably only about half the enemies marked. It makes for a real thrill and a real feel of danger, and this is where the pistol may come in. Say you've got an HQ building that you couldn't fully spot from the outside, and you don't know how many targets are in there, so you go in with a pistol and clear it room by room. An AR or SMG is likely to alert other enemies nearby, even if it's suppressed. But if you're going in partially blind, that pistol is your best friend. This said, I think sync shot is fine and even encouraged for this rule of visual recon only. In a real life scenario, it's very likely that other members of your team would have or could get to another vantage and get line of sight on enemies that you can't currently engage. I think when used responsibly, sync shot is a great enhancement to gameplay immersion. All of this together makes for a slower playthrough of the game. Given, but that's not the point. AAA games like this often lack many of the realistic factors of more strict milsim type games, but where they excel is the fluid graphics and small immersive touches that their larger budget allows them to put into the game. Playing with a more immersive and thoughtful, relaxed approach enhances the things that make this game stand out from other military games. Ubisoft gave us a huge, living and breathing slice of fictitious Bolivia to use as our sandbox. Use it, make your own rules, and put yourself in Nomad's shoes. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you found these 8 tips for immersive play to be helpful. Maybe there was something here you hadn't thought of, or maybe you have rules of your own like this that you do for a more fun experience. Hey guys, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe and check out the hundreds of other Wildlands videos that I have made since the game's release. I really am still enjoying this game and bringing content like this to you guys. Thanks a lot guys, I'm Darkdally, and I will catch you all next time.